What up, Freediver fans? Jonathan and Eric here with you today, and we are going to cover everything watches.
All of these?
Maybe not all of them. Okay. All right, so we obviously have a ton of options to choose from when it comes to your freediving watch, and some of these watches do scuba as well. Now, obviously, Eric and I are a little biased with our watch choice. We both are rocking the Garmin MK1, which we actually will put a link in the description below on the full review of that specific watch. So we're going to skip that watch in this video, but I want to talk about some of the more popular ones that are out there and really kind of give you guys some good information as to making your good purchase. So I'll talk about the F10 first. By far, I think one of the more popular ones out there, been around for a long time. It was actually designed by FII. Martin Stepanek helped kind of make sure this watch was giving you everything you needed for your freediving needs. And he actually wore this watch in his 13th world record and broke it because he dove too deep. It's rated for 328 feet, and he went deeper than that and broke it. So if you're diving deeper than 328 feet, you don't want to use this watch.
I broke one time.
Anything below that, yeah,
That's because I stepped on it.
anything shallower than that, obviously, it's got plenty of depth rating, just like all these watches do, right? But one of the big things that I like to point out about the F10 specifically is its simplicity. You can set the mode to be water activated. So you put this thing on your wrist, you have it telling the time, you jump in the water, you start to dive, and it turns on, right? It automatically starts recording your dives. You don't have to go through 12 different kinds of settings or anything to figure it out or dial it in. It just works, which is really nice for someone like me who's got a lot going on already. I just want something to work. The other thing that's really nice is the big screen and the big numbers, right? So you don't get a ton of data off the screen without pressing buttons, but you get everything that you need, right? And the nice thing is that because there's not a ton of data, it is pretty big, big numbers and big letters. So you can store up to 99 dives on this guy. You can also change the battery yourself, which is really nice.
That's probably the best feature of that.
That is probably the best feature. One of the best features. I like this watch pretty much. I dove this watch a long time before I got my
That's like the only good feature.
Get out of here. The other thing that's really cool is you can buy the additional accessory to download this guy to your computer, which is pretty neat. If you don't want to download it, you can still view your dives, not only the max time, max depth, but you can actually roll through the menu and watch your seconds and how deep you are per that second. So if you're doing what we teach in level 1, where you're trying to hit 1 meter per 1 second, you can actually see if you're accomplishing that with this watch, which is kind of cool. Battery life lasts, I think, pretty good. It gives you a little battery indicator, and then it will also flash low battery once you get to the point of like you really need a new battery. But obviously the more you dive with it, the quicker the battery gets eaten up, just like any of these watches. But having that user changeability makes a big difference in this watch.
So the next one we have to talk about is the Suunto G4f. This is actually one of my favorite watches that we carry. I dove with the G4f for quite a while before I switched to the Garmin.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the Garmin watch is in its own category.
It's a smartwatch.
It's a totally different animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
None of these watches are really comparable to it.
I agree.
As far as features go.
I agree.
Regardless, as a true freediving watch, everything up here, including the Garmin watch, all for the most part has a lot of the same features. All those features you're looking for, such as depth, total dive time, your surface intervals, stopwatch features. Those are kind of the basic ones that I'm looking for. Water temperature, I actually like a lot. The reasons I like the Suunto better than the F10 are, I think it's much easier to use.
Okay.
What I liked the most about it, it was actually the first watch that I ever owned. I had used F10s, I'd used the Marez watch, a couple other ones. I took it out of the box, I set the time, and I've never changed another setting on it. It was already in imperial instead of metric, which is amazing.
Which is really nice, yeah.
And I don't have to dive into the settings to figure out how to turn on the water, whatever. Get in the water and it turns on, that kind of technology. It just does all that automatically. And I honestly really appreciate that ease of use that Suunto put into this thing, because that's honestly makes life a little bit easier when you don't have to sit there and try and figure something out. As far as the navigation, when you do start getting into the menus, I find it a little bit easier to navigate. The numbers are still nice and big, just like the F10. It's a little bit smaller screen actually, because it's square instead of round. I don't know why they did that. But regardless, still very easy to read. When you're actually in dive mode, all your pertinent information is large on the screen. So basically your depth and your total dive time are the two main things that it's displaying.
And you're going to see that actually right here. This watch is a display mode here, so it kind of shows you.
Yeah, this is actually a D4i, but they're both
same thing, same watch. Yeah.
This just scuba.
So this is what Eric was talking about, right? So it tells you the depth, the time, your max depth, and then your last max time.
Yeah.
So with the display, as you mentioned, this guy is actually a pixelated display, so you get a little bit more detail in this display versus kind of the old school digital display from the F10. It's funny that you mentioned the simplicity of the D4F. It obviously is very simple, but there is crazy amount of settings that you can go through and set. You've got 3 different alarms that you can go in and set at different depths. You've got a time alarm that you can set. You've got the sample rate that you can change. I mean, if you want to nerd out on your data that you're getting, the D4F or I absolutely is the way to go. Yeah. You can get way more information. You can actually, so I mentioned you could watch the dive on this one by numbers. You can actually watch it by a graph.
Yeah.
On the screen itself, cool. So you don't actually have to download it to watch the graph, which is just insane that you can do that on your wrist with a Freedive watch. So really think that the D4F is absolutely a great buy. If you're looking to Freedive only, both of these watches are definitely where you want to go. If you're looking to scuba dive as well as Freedive, the D4i is an excellent option. Obviously, the MK1 by Garmin does it as well. If you need both,
get the Garmin. So one more thing I wanted to touch on with the D4F, the Suunto watches, they are diving into all those deep settings and that kind of thing. It's very easy to navigate through the menus. The 4-button operation is really nice, gives you a lot more versatility, a lot more intuitiveness. So I really like the ease of use of the Suunto watches. They're just very convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, something that I just kind of noticed too is the strap on them. So I used to wear, actually I've worn the F10 as my daily watch. I've worn the D4F as my daily watch, and now the Garmin as my daily watch. The strap was actually really nice. All the sport straps that are out there have all the holes and stuff, so your wrist doesn't sweat, which the Suunto actually comes with that from the get-go. The F10 obviously just has the selection holes, which is kind of nice, but it doesn't have those other holes on the other side. So just another thought about there. The last watch that I do want to touch on is the couple different things about just the random other watches that we have up here. The Marez Apnea watch, really nice watch. It does have that water activation. It is a 2-button only, so it is a little bit more difficult to navigate through, but honestly, I've used that watch as well, and it works really, really well. It gives you all the good information that you need, and it comes in a couple different colors. You got gray and yellow, so yellow is kind of nice to differentiate your watch from everybody else's.
It's got a descent rate on there as well, which is kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. So you, again, how fast you're traveling and making sure that your buoyancy is going well. There are a bunch of other watches that we do carry, guys, so if you do want to know more about which watch maybe you have, or you want to learn more about a watch that you're thinking about purchasing, please be sure to let us know in the comments below, and that way we can get you guys some more content on some of the other watches that are out there. These were by far our favorites. So hopefully they work well for you as well. Thank you so much for watching our video, guys. If you guys did find good value in this content, please make sure you subscribe and check out our other videos, especially this one right here. It's one of my favorites.